What you did with the city manager form of government, you handed it off to the DeKalb delegation, and their legislative council drafted an amendment. I would suggest a slightly different track. I would suggest you allow the city manager and the city attorney to draft some suggested language and then hand that off to the legislative council. I think there were some issues with the previous, and so I think we can help them overcome some of those issues on the front end. Certainly they would be responsible for drafting the final version. Of course, that would be considered during the 2013 legislative session. If passed, it would go into effect prior to the November 2013 elections. And assuming both of those issues that you're considering now, and I'm certainly, neutral on those for obvious reasons, but assuming both of those were supported via a resolution, you would then, versus in November, instead of electing a mayor and 3 council members, you would be electing 2 council members. Then in 2015, you would elect 3 council members. And so then every 2 years, you would rotate to where you would have 2 up for election, 3 up for election, and then every January, then the 5 sitting council people would elect among themselves the mayor. And so that's, if this is considered, that's the process legally that you have to follow.
I just have one more question. If we're reducing the number of the elected body, are you also reducing the term in office to 2 years? Or are you just going to let them stay for
It stays for this. Yeah, I'm not proposing that. Right, it stays for.
And I did want to reiterate that each of these proposed items here, I believe, stand independently.
Yeah, that's what keeps saying. Okay. All right. Any comments from the public?
Of all the things in the city that needs to be tweaked, I'm trying to figure out how the council comes up with this. I mean, here's where perfection basically doesn't need to be tampered with in the first place. Ransom is exactly correct on the subject of taking away, the democratically elected position of the mayor, and Warren Hadlock as well, especially when he stated that it wouldn't be popular with the people. I mean, taking away that, I don't think is going to be any more successful than was taking away citizens' comments. I mean, you can just read the writing on the wall, I'm sure, as Warren has done. On the subject of reducing number of council members, Dean Moore said it best when, this is where I disagree with Ransom, when Mayor Ransom first brought up the matter some months ago anyway. He said more heads are better than one, especially when you consider the pay, the drain on resources that you all represent, which is almost nothing. I mean, this city blew $75,000 on playground equipment it didn't need, which is double the cost of all of your salaries combined. It doesn't make sense to me. I mean, in fact, if I were you, I would, the real avenue of discussion should be something like salary increases. I mean, take your $3,500 a year and double it. I mean, for all the work, that you have to put in to the city in 1 year. I mean, if I was an elected council member, that would be one of the first things that I would say is that the council pay should be doubled. I mean, I'm patriotic to the city, but not that patriotic to be working for $3,500 a year. Another good direction of discussion should be the checking of the city manager's power in the city, because I think as the role has developed, it became something in excess of what was originally envisioned. And I think that there's a general consensus that it now is more of a political decision where the manager makes political decisions than merely involved in the mechanics of running the city, which is what I think more people envision. In fact, rumor has it that Rosemary Nelson would want to suggest that the city manager position even be done away with because of these so-called excesses of power, and I don't even agree with that.
Thank you. Jan?
I'm going to assert a comment here. I do not believe Rosemary Nelson has that opinion at all, so I'm saying that point blank, all right? Disregard that.
Well, she'll get me if I'm wrong.
I'll get you, because I know you're wrong. I don't want my right to vote for a mayor taken away from me. That is absolutely wrong. It's considerably wrong. I don't see why, and I don't consider the mayor's position as being a city council position. It has always been a mayor's position. And I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 city council members. What good is it a way to take one position? You're talking about reducing the position by 1. Now, I have been doing some research, and I've brought it up to Joan Swaney before, and I will now bring it up publicly. I believe that this city should go to a post-position type of voting for city council members. It has worked very well in Stone Mountain. I have been doing the research up at Stone Mountain, and I see how it works. And I think the changes that should be made, that the decision should be made, that the voters decide to vote for a position, post-position type of voting for the city council members. I also personally feel that you should reduce it to every 2 years, the same way we do in the federal government, the same way College Renner has to run every 2 years to retain her position. But the change should be made in the way we vote for a city council, and that would be a change of post-position.
Explain what you mean, because I don't know what you mean.
Districts.
No, it has nothing to do with districts. It was brought up before. It has nothing to do with districts. It means that post 1, I'm going to go from right to left. Post 1, post 2, post 3, post 4, post 5, and post 6. There will be 6 positions. The mayor is totally different, all right? Anybody running would have to say, I am going to run for post 1. John Brown is going to run for post 3. There might be no opposition to some positions. There might be 4 people running against the position. And it works extremely well. They have the Stone Mountain would be the closest thing where they have a city manager that you could come to getting a nice vote. I doubt that you would like to vote, change it to 2 years, but I really think it should be every 2 years. But the post-position type of voting is the way we should go.
Thank you.
As a citizen in Clarkston, I definitely do not feel it. Well, let me start from the beginning. Since I've been living in Clarkston, I think you have issues that are being addressed and it's growing, and I think a lot of this proposal is premature. I think that one of the big things that you have in Clarkston is you have a physical alienation of people not being involved because of some alienation between communities. And I think that, with that being said, it becomes an energetic alienation. So if we were to not, and I think that as Clarkston grows, I think that these things could possibly be implemented. But right now, you're on a roll, okay? And you people were excited to be involved. When I first moved here, the fact that you guys were voting for a new mayor was exciting. It brought people together. If you start pulling that back, it's going to create an alienation again. When we walked around to help one of the people running for mayor, people were getting involved and they wanted to talk about. But back to something someone said earlier, there was a lot of apathy in Clarkston. You do not want to move backwards. Also comparing, I just think at this time, Clarkston, I've mentioned this before, has a great potential. We're in it. I don't think we should be comparing. I think you should do what we're doing and keep doing what we're doing. And what I mean by an energetic alienation is if people aren't able to vote and feel that they can be involved in this small city, then you already don't have a lot of people sitting here right now. I think it's going to further alienate. I also feel that while I appreciate every single one of you, and think you, I appreciate and I engage, and sometimes I agree and disagree. I like the fact that I'm agreeing and disagreeing with the amount of people that are up here. I feel like if you are to narrow that down, once again, that narrows down certain demographics to participate with coming to city council meetings, to engaging in conversation, you know, because you have the opportunity to have this many people up there. I think that that is something we should stick with for a while longer. While I am not completely well read on the post system, I do find that I think that that's a nice opportunity to have the post system. I think another way to engage people more is, I think, a 2-year term is a good idea. I do agree with that. So I am definitely in agreement with, no, I definitely don't think that the mayor should serve 1 year. I think that I just don't think that that's going to give anybody time to get anything done, to work with his staff, to you know, people are excited to meet a mayor, to know who the mayor is. That's a big deal. In Decatur and places that are so large, people become apathetic. So you have an opportunity to be engaging people, to involve people. This is brilliant. The second thing, to reduce the members, I already spoke of. To reduce the members, I think it's going to reduce, at this time, people being interested. I think it's good because each person up here represents a demographic in our city, and I think that's really important. The transfer of authorization and everything, I need clarity on. I don't really understand what that means. As far as like the transfer of authorization to sign contracts on behalf of the city, from the mayor to the city manager, what does that entail exactly?
It just entails that the mayor has no more power to sign an agreement with anybody as far as the city is concerned. They're giving that power to the city manager. But
would the mayor be within that meeting or anything? How could that, I don't even understand how that can be.
Yeah, what the way that the current charter language speaks about the way it currently reads is the mayor has the authority to sign contracts, bonds, and deeds on behalf of the city, and the proposal here is that that would be transferred to the city manager.
God.
And he can only sign a contract authorization from the council.
Okay, all right. So thank you for listening. I appreciate all of you, and I definitely think that, like I said, I think this proposal is a little bit premature. I think that we're on a really positive thing in Clarkston, and I think we need to engage and not do something that's going to alienate. I do think the 2-year term, possibly for city council members, is a positive, it's a move in a positive direction, because A, it keeps that city council person on their toes. It also keeps it so that if a person is ready to move on and not be a council member anymore, or comes up with other things, they can gracefully, they're done. And I just think it keeps people fresh and energetic and aware of what's going on, instead of having a chance of getting burnt out. So thank you, and I do appreciate all of you, and I appreciate you listening.
All right, thank you so much. Any more comments? Seeing none, we will move on to our next agenda item, which is B3, discuss Friendship Forest Master Plan. And I think that's Mr. Hadlock.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor.
I believe you skipped one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Next one is B2, discuss proposal to adjust start time for city council meetings, and that's myself. I've sent a request to the staff to look at changing our meeting time, because I wanna be able to maintain an audience here in our city council meetings, also our work session. So I think maybe we might have some long agendas, which you have had already, and 6:30 works out real good for us to start our meeting. That it gets us out on time, and we all can go get together up to the pub and have a beer and a hamburger. So I'm putting that to the council, is to please support me on this issue, and I'd appreciate it if you would. And I'm turning it over to the council.
And my support, yeah, I'm for it.
Okay, what about you, Warren?
I don't have any problem.
What about you, Dean?
Yeah, this helps the staff out as well, doesn't it? I mean, you guys have a long day on our council.
7 in the morning, stay up, jump walking
What
out.
about you, Diane?
I'm